Hi, everybody. We're covering children and sports psychology this week, and I wanted to share with you some of the children's books that I think really speak clearly to a lot of the concepts and terms that not only we've been talking about in this chapter, but throughout the course. Probably one of the very first books that I read as a child that speaks about self-efficacy and having confidence. This is age-old book, The Little Engine That Could, to teach us that no matter how small you are, the big engines couldn't get over the mountain. And throughout the book, he keeps saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And I always tell you, I believe in you, and that I want you to say, I know I can. My grandson will say, there's only one word that Nana won't let me say, and that is, I can't. He can't say the word can't. So The Little Engine That Could. So many of these books are not really just for children. I think they're great messages for even us as adults. One of my children's favorite books was always this book, The Monster at the End of the Book. And throughout the book, Grover keeps saying, don't turn another page, because if you turn another page, we're going to be even closer to the monster at the end of the book. And then the kids can't wait to turn the page. And at the end, there's nothing there, no monster. It's just lovable, furry Grover. And this is to teach children, and probably for all of us right now, that a lot of times the things that we most fear never come to fruition. One of my personal favorites, and this is good for all of us right now, is Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. This kid, from the moment he wakes up till he goes to bed at night, is having a really bad day. And throughout the book, he keeps saying, next week I'm moving to Australia. And at the end of the book, his mom says, everybody has a bad day every now and then, even those in Australia. So it's a really cute book. This little book, Creole, I love. It's speaking of people bullying. All these creatures in the forest all have formed certain friendships, and two, these little creatures are shunned by everybody else. One, because this one, Creole, they think she's real big and ugly, and the other little guy stutters. And the guy that stutters and Creole become good friends, but by the end of the book, everybody realizes that each one of them have a certain thing, a role, and a way to contribute to their community, and they each have something special and unique about them that makes them special. One of my very all-time favorite books is The Velveteen Rabbit, and in particular, the passage here where the rabbit is asking, what is real? Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? And the skin horse, who's wise in the nursery, says, real isn't how you're made. It's not a thing that happens to you. It's when a child really loves you for a long, long time. That's when you become real. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, or bit by bit? And the skin horse says, it doesn't happen all at once. You become. It takes a long time, and that's why it doesn't happen to people who break easily or have sharp edges or have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But those things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly except for people who don't understand. The Velveteen Rabbit. And lastly, when my kids were little, I used to read this book to them, and I would sometimes go to their schools and read it to the class. I believe this little book's out of print, but I'm going to read this to you guys, all of you in my classes, because I think as I read it, you'll see that so many of the terms and the things that we've talked about setting goals and never giving up, perseverance and discipline, feedback and reinforcement, negative self-talk, all of these things I think are kind of woven sweetly into this book. So this is called The Littlest Tall Fellow by Barry Ruttner. The Littlest Tall Fellow. There once was a boy, a child so small, the boy was so tiny, the smallest looked tall. Knee-high to an ankle, a weed hopper at heart, this littlest small fellow reached from the start. Chairs and tables, benches and boxes, stacks of books and wood, a stool or a ladder, it just didn't matter. He reached for all that he could. Soon the time came to go play school, to learn math and reading and the golden rule. There too he reached for all that he could, the blackboard, his desk, his grades, which were good. Even in sport, he reached for the sky, but the boy didn't play, and he couldn't guess why. "I'm sorry," said the coach, "you're the size of a ball. I want you to play, but you're simply too small. You must stop having dreams such as these. People can't always reach what they please." Without being noticed, the boy left the game, and he began to believe that his size was to blame. Alone with his thoughts, he felt the dismay that maybe his reach let a dream slip away. "My size," cried the boy, "should not matter at all. Is reaching for dreams just for the small?" He fell to the ground, a pile of despair. The boy wished to reach, but he didn't know where. And here comes the self-talk. Then a voice from within made his eyes open wide. Instead of up high, his reach turned inside. The voice told the boy what he needed to hear by telling the boy he had nothing to fear. "Have you reached?" asked the voice, "with all of your might, to give up your dreams without even a fight?" Reaching for dreams is not about size, only the courage of someone who tries. To see them blossom, you must help them grow. Plant your dreams and never let go. So grab each dream and hold on tight, and never, but never, ever lose sight. For dreams are like fruit to be picked when they're ripe. They're the sweetest of fruit and the rarest of type. But dreams don't drop like fruit from a tree. You must climb to the top and pick them, you see. For those who wait for their dreams to fall rarely, if ever, reach them at all. The littlest small fellow listened to the voice that made him see he had no choice. He gathered his courage and began his long climb up to his dreams, one step at a time. As he reached higher than ever before, he peered over his shoulder to the ground once more to see a small crowd that began to gather. He yelled to the crowd, "Hey, what's the matter? Why do you people still stand on the ground? It's up here where your dreams can be found." But nothing he said could get them to move, and the boy thought aloud, "I have something to prove." He returned to his climb and at last reached his goal and grabbed the dream that he cherished to hold. With a sigh of relief, he began his climb down to the now larger crowd that watched from the ground. Pleased with himself, he gleefully laughed, while the tallest in the crowd scratched his head and asked, "How did he do that? How did he reach? I'm twice his size by at least 3 feet." The boy smiled at the crowd, his heart full of pride, and he silently thanked the voice from inside. High in the sky, the boy held his head, and with a humble voice to the crowd he said, "Reaching for dreams isn't measured by far the length of your reach or the size that you are. For all that matters is the strength of your heart. The size of your heart will set you apart. So if you truly believe in yourself, even if you're only the size of an elf, and even if you aren't the tallest at all, if you reach for your dreams, you'll never be small." From that day forward to this very day, the boy was seen in a different way. For the boy who grew taller without growing 1 inch became the littlest tall fellow ever since. Remember, I believe in you, and I'll talk with you next week.